Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. If you will, like, share, comment on the post, and then you can join me in the book of Genesis, chapter number 35, beginning in verse number 5. We have these words: As they journeyed, a terror from God fell upon the cities that were around them, so that they did not pursue the sons of Jacob. And Jacob come to Luz, that is Bethel, which is in the land of Canaan, he and all the people who were with him. And there he built an altar and called the place El Bethel, because there God had revealed himself to him when he fled from his brother. This verse shows us something that is really imperative for us to learn. If you will remember, in just a little earlier, just a few verses back, Jacob was living in fear. He was afraid of what his enemies may do to him. In fact, you could say Jacob has spent a good portion of his life living in fear. Some of it rightfully so. He probably should have been afraid of his brother. He spent a lot of time living in fear. And again, just a few verses before, he was that. But all of a sudden, now, it says, as he sets out and he heads towards Bethel, or Bethel, depending on who says it, says a fear fell on everybody else. Not on Jacob, but a fear fell on everybody else. What's different here than in the past when Jacob was the one who was living in fear? Now Jacob, instead of having fear, is giving fear. Now, instead of being afraid of everyone else, everyone's afraid of him. Something has changed. What could it be? Could it be that now Jacob, after all of these years, has finally decided to step up, be the man, be the leader, be the follower of God that he was expected to be, that he had been called to be? Could it be that Jacob now is finally living in the will of God, living out the will of God, doing again what God has called him to do, what he has put him here for? He is leading his family in a spiritual way. We see him here building an altar, leading his family spiritually, being the man that he was supposed to be. He's listening and what God had to say, and not just listening. A lot of folks listen to God, and they hear him, and they just don't obey him. He's, the song we sing a lot of times in the church, trust and obey, for there's no other way. Jacob is finally living that. And when he does, things immediately begin to change in his life. And some of the very same people here who just a few days earlier he was afraid of, now they are turning tail and running from him. Why? Because Jacob is finally being the man God has called him to be, expected him to be all along. I would challenge you, challenge myself this morning to ask ourselves that question. Are we being the man, the woman, the person, the believer, the follower, the disciple that God expects us to be, has called us to be? Living in fear, living in constant dread? Maybe we need to ask ourselves the question, am I being obedient? Am I following God like he would have me to do? When Jacob made that change, became the spiritual leader in his home, everything began to change. You think about it. Have a great day. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.